I want to get started a bit on your project. We are, as you know, at DEX, and some people may not, most of the people know what a node is, like the Fantom validator nodes, but they may not be thoroughly familiar with the node as a service system. Can you guys briefly explain what your service provides?
Yeah. I'll go into that. Basically, nodes as a service, there are many types of nodes. There are shared nodes, full dedicated nodes, and validator nodes. So what we, nodes as a service, mostly focuses on are the full dedicated and the shared nodes. The validator nodes also are good as well. You just can't spin up a million of those.
Yeah, of course.
Because of the barrier to entry. So what we focus on is creating shared nodes and then branching that into full dedicated nodes that hold they kind of serve as a database for the blockchain. So they hold the entire blockchain's data, and that kind of gives you a route into the blockchain, and you can query it via your node on Atlas. We give the RPC URLs as well.
Yeah.
So with that, the more nodes that are on a chain, the more decentralized it can become. So if an entity wanted to take down, let's say, Fantom, they would need to take down all of every single node that's on the blockchain network around the world. So we just kind of bring basically they're not really rewarded in any way for people. People aren't rewarded for running these types of nodes like they are for validators.
Yeah.
So our service kind of provides a way for people to be compensated for running these nodes that are also crucial.
Yeah. Yep. So you just help facilitate people to create the nodes on your end, and you reward people for doing so, basically.
Yes.
Correct.
How do you reward people? Like, started with the incentivize. Let's move on to that. How does the tokenomics broadly look like for you?
Block, you want to take care of that?
Yeah, I can lead on that. So we work similar to a lot of other node protocols. You would need to buy 10 of the Atlas token, and you deposit 10 of those tokens in our site, which are then sent as a contribution to the protocol itself. So they're split in 3 ways. So most of those tokens would go to the reward pool, which is then used later on to give rewards to node holders. Some of that is also sent to the treasury, and other part is sent to the Atlas pool. So the system in the beginning sort of works like some people buy in, and that pushes the price up. Others get rewards, and they either sell or make more nodes, and it's like a cycle in the beginning. However, one big flaw with this sort of system, as you've seen in Strongblock, is it requires the constant creation of nodes from other people coming into this the protocol. And as more nodes are created, so say for example we have a total of 5,000, because the reward rate is 1%, a certain amount of nodes every day have to be created to keep the price stable. And as more nodes are created, more rewards are given out, more nodes need to be created the next day. So our protocol aims to solve that in the long run. We have a few things in the background that we're working on to give more utility to the token. One of these obviously is the LP staking that we work with SpiritSwap to get. We have a few more things in the background that we can't really give the direct details on, just because we had some issues before we launched where other protocols kind of took our ideas before we launched them. Part of this also relies on our treasury, and we'll be releasing a framework either this week or next week on how we'll use the treasury, on how it's going to keep the price stable, what we managed to do and what we will do in the long term, how we'll invest it, stuff like validated nodes, medium risk investments, long risk rather short-term investments, etc. But the aim is, in the very long term, the treasury is supposed to be able to handle all rewards, and so it avoids the problem where the reward pool starts to deplete, and then you need to find a solution for that.
Yeah, great. I wanted to ask what happens when the Atlas tokens start to deplete, because there is a fixed minted amount of Atlas tokens that are shared in the token allocation. But what happens how do nodes get rewarded when these rewards start to dwindle down?
Yeah, so off launch, we obviously did a few modeling slides, and we minted enough tokens for us to last a long enough time where our treasury can theoretically be able to pay out rewards. So either we get to a position where we need to buy back tokens, which we then use as which we then fill the reward pool with, then we pay out users, or we do a revenue share system. But we minted enough tokens at the beginning to be able to give us enough time to get these two systems sorted, so that we don't get into a position where we can't pay out rewards anymore, and then we have to do something else to fix this, like make an on-chain or something.
Yeah. I see. So I went ahead and looked at your token allocations deeply before starting this AMA. I can see that the Atlas pool reserves and treasury seemed very similar in terms of functions. Can you explain the differences between them? They looked very similar to me as to their function.
Yeah, so the treasury automatically used to liquefy tokens that it received, which would then put Fantom in the treasury itself. We're bullish on Fantom, of course, so having it swapped to Fantom is sort of an investment in itself. The Atlas team pool is essentially 20% of the tokens go there that we can then use to expand the team. The team pay that we have is not the whole of the team pool. It's 1% of the whole pool that comes in, which is then vested over 12 months. So compared to other protocols, our team pay is a lot lower, and we prefer to get paid from the fact that our protocol is doing well rather than just pumping and dumping, if you would say that. Yeah, so the Atlas team pool, we try not to use that as much, because obviously it's Atlas tokens, and to actually get some value out of that, you'd have to sell these tokens. So you try to use it as least as possible, which is why we also have maintenance fees. So the maintenance fees, firstly, they go to, of course, paying for the fees to run the servers, but any excess amount we have left over, we then split between needing for marketing, team allocation, and expanding the team.
Yeah. Wanted to ask also two questions regarding that. First of all, I have seen many DAO protocols, you guys aren't one, but the treasury they accumulate, they, for example, if they have all Fantom, they can just use some land and borrowing sites protocols and to expand their treasury. Do you intend on using the said treasury to yield farm or do something else to expand it, or would you rather keep it safe?
Our plan is to have a framework where we use a certain percentage on certain safe investments. Would be something like Anchor, where you just do some stablecoin farming, and then more medium risk, maybe a bit more LP farming with more risky assets, and then a certain small percentage should be on higher risk investments, maybe seed investments, etc. But yeah, keep an eye out on the Atlas Discord, and we'll release a framework soon, which will be voted on.
So is that will be decided by the community, or you guys will refer to the multi-sig for the usage of the treasury?
So it'll be the team comes up with a plan, and if the community sort of agrees with this plan, then that's what we'll go ahead with. So we're not a DAO, so it won't be everything goes to the community, but it'll be the team decides, and then if the community has any issues or whatever, we address those.
And by community, we do mean our verified node owners, so we do have Discord roles. So we only get, really the opinion, the votes of people who actually have a node.
Yeah, we do have we do have governance contracts in the works, which we'll check if people.
When it comes to that, the governance contract, I know that was one of the questions in the AMA is how is the voting going to work? For some reason, people think that you get a vote based on how many nodes you own. This is incorrect. So if you have at least one node, you get to cast one vote. So if you have 5 nodes, it's still one vote. The reason why we are only casting votes from people who have actually invested in the protocol is because they are the ones who would get affected, because they're the ones who are invested. Someone who just has 1 or 2 Atlas tokens to cast a vote but doesn't have any general node or investment with us, the vote really isn't considered.
Yeah, I agree with that. Before I move on to the more without partnerships, just a quick question. Like, I see it's valid, just to clear some heads. The validator nodes, like if people have seen, like except from the FTM fee that you have to have, you also need to have some like hardware set up to run the server. So do you guys provide it as your service, or do people have to have some hardware for the nodes?
We provide it as our service.
We provide it as a service. And when we branch into investing in a validator node, or even multiple in the future, it will also be hosted by us, and that will kind of go into our Flux partnership as well, because we'll be able to integrate with their service to host our nodes as well.
Correct. That's also one of the questions in the AMA. Who can hold nodes? Like, do you need programming experience? Like, it's not like a validator node like CRO or like a Flux node where you need a machine with like 4 terabytes of storage. No, all the hardware is provided by us in our new partnership with Flux.
Can you expand a bit on that partnership, because I would like to hear about it a bit?
Yeah, Noah, do you want to explain what Flux is? Or I could. It's up to you.
I could do that.
I have a half of it.
Cody's the one who actually integrated it. Yeah, Cody, go ahead.
Did the thing. Yeah. Okay. So Flux is a decentralized hosting service of sorts, and essentially, we were interested in further decentralizing our platform, not just on the blockchain side, but also on the actual hosting. What we did prior was we were hosting our services on Google, but us being a DeFi application, we all sort of thought that this would be a really good move towards the DeFi space. And one of the things that I did that I helped with was integrating with Flux, and essentially they are simply put, a decentralization of for hosting. So instead of where you traditionally host things on a centralized server, and that's far off and that's owned by some company, you have to pay that company X amount to for the hosting fees and things of that nature. What we did was we submitted our hosting to Flux, and they were able to provide a framework for us to host the website. Sorry, I'm a little off today.
Cody, I can help out that. So pretty much how it works when it comes to centralization. Let's say, for example, Google. Let's say there's a cyber attack on Google. They start targeting Google services. Then all of Google is affected. When it comes to Flux and their operating system, it's hosted on Flux nodes and Flux containers. So let's say, for example, we have a cyber attack, and let's say one of the Flux nodes goes down. It is then Dockerized into another Flux node, and the website is immediately back up. So pretty much it is, when it comes to cyber warfare, DDoS attacks, it is almost impossible to break it down, because if the site goes down, we're not relying on one centralized company to bring it back up, because it is decentralized within the span of thousands of nodes. If it goes down, it's going to be backed up in mere seconds.
Yeah. So I was going to ask how many nodes are there for safety, and you said thousands, so that looks pretty safe. I don't know hacking, so I don't know how much does it take to infiltrate or corrupt one node, but if it should probably be some effort to get all thousands, probably impossible.
Oh, 100,
it would require at least 51%. of the nodes to overtake the entire chain, so that it would become its own fork. And yeah,
At the moment,
where the nodes are and who's running them, and then take them down individually, one by one.
exactly. And at the moment, I believe Flux, I could be wrong, it has around 29 to 3,000 nodes. But I know in April, May, they're going to like half the node restriction, so there should be even more nodes available, which just helps us as a protocol as well. You know, it just strengthens the DeFi and the decentralization as a whole.
Yeah. Let's move on to our partnership then. After a shout out to Flux. So first of all, Vambribe. When are you guys distributing it?
Yep, so I've been in contact with one of the providers that SpiritSwap uses. So they just said they're going to get back to me on once the snapshot has been sent to them, and we'll send out the funds. So it'll most likely be either late today or tomorrow. But we'll give an update out tomorrow if that doesn't happen. But it should be. That's based on what my chats have been.
Great. So I voted for your pair, so...
Awesome, thank you.
Be handsomely rewarded. I don't know much, so I want to talk about the benefits of LP, because like the Atlas tokens are there, and the nodes are like basically the same as staking, right? It's single-sided staking where you provide nodes and it provides tokens in return, and there is a fixed return to the nodes. What advantages would you tell to the audience about providing LP versus just like providing 10 Atlas into a node?
So the best opportunity for people who have invested in Atlas would be, you can't automatically just compound your node every time you get rewards. You have to, of course, get 10 more tokens. And so providing LP gives you an opportunity to use the extra tokens you have to provide liquidity on SpiritSwap and get another token, which you can then use to vote in the next epoch, sell, or whatever. And so it's basically a place where you can park your token and still get revenue in some form. Now, you could also just buy tokens and provide LP. However, we do have one restriction that people should be aware of, where you can't trade more than 10 tokens if you don't have a node. Yeah. This limit was initially put in during launch because of the fact that whales and bots are a large issue, and a lot of people at the time were interested in just pumping and dumping. And so this limit actually gave us the opportunity to have one of the best launches in January for any node protocol.
To go a little bit more on that restriction, so how it pretty much works is the minute the protocol senses that you have 10 tokens like in your wallet, it automatically disables any buying and selling, because how it works is you have the funds to make a node. So then you essentially you're kind of locked in place. It's the same thing if you try to buy 30 tokens. Like, no, that's too much. However, we do understand that the price gap to create a node is very high. So if it's 9 or less, so let's say, for example, you only want to buy 2 Atlas tokens, that is fine. You can purchase and sell and transfer those 2 Atlas tokens without any restriction. It's the minute it hits 10 or higher when the restriction puts in place.
Yeah, to add to that as well. So if you don't even have 10 tokens, say you're trying to accumulate to create a node, you can buy a few when you see the price dip, and then you can provide liquidity and slowly use the APR that you get to buy more tokens. Of course, correct. You should make sure that you understand how impermanent loss works. And so when you do pull your LP, you might have a different balance of tokens when you pull out, of course.
Yeah. So basically what the LP does for you mostly, it's to once someone creates a node, they use normally what the Atlas tokens would do before accumulating into another 10 into another node would just sit in the wallet. Now this LP pair provides some use cases for it. I know in the future the excess tokens will probably have some use cases as we can move on to what you're planning for the future after this point. But the SpiritSwap LP provides some additional value instead of just sitting there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just wanted to check if I got it correctly. I'm glad. So I had to look at your roadmap because I wasn't also familiar with node projects, as I haven't invested in one before having these discussions. I see there is something called booster NFTs in your roadmap. Can you explain it a bit, or is it alpha?
At the moment, when it comes to the booster NFTs, it's still being in development. So let's say, for example, some protocols like DeFi applications, not really NAAS, just DeFi, they have like different node reward like tiers. Like if you put 10, you get this one, you get 20, you get this one, etc. It just keeps going up. We do not want to do that, but instead we will provide an NFT that will give a temporary boost. So let's say, for example, this NFT will boost this percentage for 20 days. So it's a way to essentially reward those more, but not throw our protocol and sustainability out of whack. It's still being in progress. We had to put it on halt because Cody was actually leading the charge in the NFTs, but he was working on the integration with Flux, and we thought that was a priority. So we will be, we're still working on the functionality NFTs, but essentially that is how the boosters will work. It's to essentially incentivize those without throwing sustainability out of control.
Yeah. So how does I know it's on hold, but how would one go around to acquiring these? Like, would you help get back Atlas tokens to your treasury by exchanging boost NFTs for Atlas tokens, or would you look to increase your treasury in FTM, for example, you give requiring FTM to buy the boost NFTs?
I believe you can go ahead.
Go for it. We're going back and forth on whether we should make it all Atlas to buy them or all Fantom or a mixture of both. We haven't came to a finalized decision on how that's going to play out. We're still letting the tokenomics team run with that, see which is better.
Yeah, so what do you guys have planned for the future? Can you guys give some alphas, some roadmaps, some tasty treats for us?
I can give a little bit without giving too much detail. So one of the things that we wanted to do is we do not want to be just a nodes as a service. It's we want to essentially expand an entire ecosystem. We do have another project in the works that directly ties with Atlas nodes. So if you are a node holder, this next project will incentivize you even more and give more utilization and utility to the Atlas token. So you'll have more than just Atlas and Spirit. You'll have this third project in the works. The reason why I'm not saying too much in detail is because we were very open before we launched about what we plan to do, and then several protocols kind of saw that that's tasty and just kind of directly copy pasted us.
Yeah.
So it does suck, and whatever, it's done. So we're not going to front run again. But we do have that. We do have more business plans that Noah and Cody are working on regarding our entity in the United States and our entity in Cayman to further incentivize and get more, funds for Atlas. And we do have a third thing in the works. Our other developer, Katri, that man is a genius. Unfortunately, he's not here right now. On the other side of the world, but I have a meeting with him because there's something that we also want to work on to it's very unique. We've done some research, and no protocol no company has done what we want to do. There is, I believe, one that kind of did it, but not in the direction that we want. So that we're taking our time with, but if we can pull it off, it's going to be the first of any, because there's a lot of DeFi applications, there's a lot of node applications, only really 2 or 3 actual nodes as a service, that actually provide physical machines, and plenty of DAOs. But this last thing that we want to work on will be the first.
Oh, very interesting. Like as a more of a community side person, I want to like ask you all the alpha and all the details, but the SpiritSwap team does the same to me. Like I want to know everything, every alpha, so we can tell the community, but they say they don't want to get front run, and because people are looking at us quite frequently as to what we're doing and try to replicate it.
Exactly. Like everyone here, like our entire team, we have, because we're not just a project, we're not just Discord. We're all doxed and we all have NDAs. Like everything is binded legally, so that we're protected if we talk to each other. But like if I make an announcement and I have Joe Schmo on Discord looking at everything I say, he'd be, oh, that's a great idea. So yeah,
I get it from that perspective more after talking to you guys, so maybe I won't bug the team that much for after this. So before I move on to the community questions, anything you want to add from your end? Anything that I missed? Hopefully not.
I don't think on the development side, we've missed anything. Noah, Cody, do you have anything on the business side, or Block, Matt, Alucard, anything on the tokenomics side? Because in terms of development, like I've kind of said everything I can say without without destroying hours of work.
I guess more clear on the business side, just we do have that entity in the United States which is going to like handle anything outside of cryptocurrency that we decide to branch into.
Yeah.
But our entity in the Caymans is set in stone. We're just sending our passports so the United States is happy about it to finalize the formation of the company, but it's pretty much set in stone at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have a lot more freedom to grow now that this Cayman thing is set.
Yeah, that's the thing about the United States, and like if anyone does like crypto projects in the United States, unless you do it right, the SEC is going to come down hard.
Yeah.
And what's right today may not be right tomorrow.
Yeah.
Exactly. SEC always likes to change. So before you make a crypto project, research the SEC very in depth.
Our government doesn't know much about crypto, so I'm fine for now if I decide to get into a project. not even taxed, probably coming soon, but yeah, it's free for all right now.
Oh, that's pretty nice, to be honest.
Yeah, Turkey is like following a bit behind, to say the least, in terms of technology. So, I think we answered all the community questions as we ran through the interview, but I just want to ask quick question about security. And as you know, people trying to invest look a lot at the audit portion.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give a bit info about that as well?
Yeah, definitely. So when it comes to security, one of the things that I did in my career as a software engineer, software architect, on the centralized side, I was in charge of any application security. So, using databases, MS SQL, etc., encryption, SHA-256, etc. I was in charge of doing that. I brought those skills into the DeFi space. And when it comes to Solidity, our contracts are audited. We posted the results of the audit. The audits have received the green light in terms of all types of breaches or hacks. On top of that, there is someone that we are working with that was able, that he's kind of like the DeFi security engineer. What he does, or he likes to do, is literally find contracts and break them. So I'm not gonna say what projects he kind of found out, but he was a beautiful help in terms of making sure that our audit was clean. When it comes to, I am working on an upgrade to our existing node system that will bring in more functionality, because now that we're integrated with Flux, we can do more in terms of nodes. So I want to fully incentivize and utilize our partnership. Before that contract even touches the mainnet, we will be seeking another audit. So pretty much no contract even touches the mainnet before an audit. Unless I've tested it thoroughly on the testnet, I can't reverse engineer it, and I have an audit, verify it, etc. And when it comes to that, my threshold in the business world is 95% or greater. So let's say there's 10 check marks in security, and an audit comes back and says, "Hey, you've hit 7 out of 10." I'm not going to say, "Oh, 70%, that's a C. C's get degrees." No, unless I get all 10 green light, I'm not going to publish that. And we do have another developer, Katri. He's also working the Solidity side, who kind of follows the same way. He is one of the leads of the front end development side. As Noah and Cody said, they were also doing the front end in the beginning of the project, but they're more on the business side. Katri's security on the front end is also astronomical. I believe our code base is there's so much security put into it to make sure that we don't get exploits. But yes, in terms of cybersecurity, Flux is handling that. In terms of DDoSing, in terms of exploits, backdoors, etc., we have a reverse engineer and we have audits. And like in the last thing, it will not even touch the main net without an audit.
Yeah. Great to know, man. Great to know. Regarding these node projects, I haven't invested in one, but I've seen many of them get exploited, attacked, and even rug pulled. So, I am really happy to see the node project built from the ground up with multi-sigs and the audits done through and through. Great to hear.
Yeah, and when it comes to the multi-sig, everything is multi-sig. The liquidity pool, the treasury, the Atlas pool, any subsidiary vaults we have, such as marketing or let's say what is it?
Team distribution.
Team distribution. But what is the other one? Hiring. There we go. If we're going to hire someone, we have reserves.
Talent acquisition. Yeah.
There you go. Talent acquisition. I just couldn't find the word. Everything is multi-sig. Sometimes it's a pain. You have to wait for 5 or 6 people, but it's a pain that we will deal with to make sure that everything is good. All the multi-sig addresses and all the multi-sig owners are on our gift book, and all of the vaults have the amount of multi-sig needed, and all of those are publicly visible.
Yeah, great. I am, this may be the first node project I will invest. I'm excited about it. Let's see how the frameworks go.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What happens when the Atlas rewards are done? Why would people know? That was the question I had in my mind when I was looking through the community questions.
What do you mean?
When the rewards, the Atlas tokens are minted, right? The 1 million, I believe, around that number. They are distributed. The more nodes are created, and it will be depleted at some point, right? So when it gets depleted, what will be the incentives for people to create nodes?
Yeah, so our runway is long enough where we expect to have rewards done in another format. And so we plan to basically switch format before the reward pool is depleted. Yeah. That's basically our plan in the long term.
That is one of the things, that second project that I mentioned that is going to incentivize the node owners. That is pretty much key to that. So our runway is very, we're not worried about that anytime soon, but we're doing it early. We're not waiting until we're breathing down our neck. Exactly. We want to get that done as soon as possible so we can just not stress about it.
Then of course also helping out with rewards as well and stabilization, NFT boosters too, and a lot of other projects that we're trying to get a front run on right now, so that we don't have as much upfront work. Upfront work first. Later on, we don't have as much work.
Yeah, good approach to have, because if you try to do it at the last 45 days, for example, and the runway gets shorter because of some market movements, then it will be like problematic to see. I am glad that you guys are taking the approach correctly, in my opinion, at least.
Thank you.
Also, when it comes to like that, like the actual like rewards and everything, and just like I guess like the price of Atlas, I think it was mentioned. I'm not sure if it was in this, and I don't have it open, but I know there was like saying like how does like the price work. We're not artificially putting anything in. We're not discounting. We're not fractionalizing. The rewards stay the same. The price is all determined by supply and demand. There's no third-party system or any type of I guess software that is essentially adding LP, or it's all supply and demand. So
on that note as well, before we even launched, we made sure to plan how the tokenomics will work before we launch. Like, there's a few protocols, I won't mention names, but they'd make a pre-sale, a whitelist, or NFT, or whatever before launch that releases a whole bunch of tokens, and then the launch will come about, and the LP size would be smaller than how many tokens are available to be sold. So we made a plan way beforehand to make sure that the supply and demand is in a format that keeps value within the token.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. Like, I am getting excited, so yeah. Yeah, so I was looking at the community questions. As I said again, we pretty much covered them all. If I missed someone, maybe one of you guys can scour pretty quickly and see if there is a question that we didn't cover, or a question that is worth answering.
For all the people.
I'm looking at them right now. One was actually AZB. Wow, I cannot read. Lockup rewards. When it comes to that, the actual we did have that mentioned before. Like, there at the moment, we don't really see an incentive to like restrict someone. Like, I know, like, I use CRO, the Crypto.com app, and in order to do like stablecoin staking, you have to lock it up for like 6 months, and we don't really see the incentive of that. We want to make sure that the people, if they have the rewards and they want to claim, that they're not locked to do so. We don't want to, like, the only restriction we have at the moment is just the node restriction. If in order to buy, sell large amounts, you need a node. In terms of restrictions on locking, restrictions on taxes, that we want to make sure that this is something that is as quote unquote free as possible. As in, like, I don't know if that makes sense, but Black, want to go into that?
No, just a slight different part regarding that. A lot of node protocols get this wrong, where they either have some sort of system that gives you a higher ROI compared to the normal person, or they have different tiers of nodes that give you a higher ROI. I can't explain it in short terms exactly why that's a problem, but I don't know if any of you guys invested in DAOs, and there was this big issue going around where the bond discount rates resulted in dilution, which meant that those that just staked were actively being diluted by bonders. And what that means in the long run is essentially the people that bonded got more tokens in the same amount of time as the people that just staked, which then means they got more value, they can sell, they take the value from the stakers. This is a problem with node protocols as well that I don't really see addressed, where there's different reward rates on different tiers or whatever, and what happens is the tier or whatever that has the highest reward rate actively dilutes everybody else, and in the long run what you'll see is these guys will be the ones with the most profit, and the price action will become worse for those that just have the lowest tier. So that's also one thing we looked into. That's why we don't have multiple tiers and a locking mechanism that gives you like a crazy boost.
Yeah, I see. So if locking really benefits to lock, then people will have to lock, and people who don't lock will get wrecked. Otherwise, there will be no point to lock if the rewards aren't good enough. So it's a Zooks one, or however those people call it, like the no way out situation, where it can dilute one either the locker or the non-locker person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So, yeah.
Let's
So
see.
many
There
birthday
was.
posts.
I know, man. I don't know what started this, but every day is my birthday. I swear to God. So,
Happy birthday.
Jimlad actually said, "Are we seeking any advice from a yield farmer on how to best deploy the treasury?" Actually, Block, you did mention that to us, and you're in the works with that. I think it was sometime this weekend. You're gonna mean you want to like not go into too specific, but like your plan for that.
Yes, not too much detail, but I am in contact with two people. One person has quite a lot of he has credentials in the TradeFi world and a lot of credentials, like working for larger banking companies, etc. And so, what I'm going to do on the weekend, I'll take my framework to him and show it to him, and see what his opinions are, if he has any advice, etc. And so to make sure that the framework that we plan on using is something that's concrete and doesn't result in getting wrecked in the long term. I also have someone I'm interested in working with, who's still in like the process of just talking, who basically moved from his TradeFi job. He was like a director, etc., and he's basically full-time in crypto now, and he does a lot of this DeFi investing. Someone who's been working with for quite some time, and basically looking to explore adding more people to the team with experience.
Yeah. So like, pretty much like the same way, my like the smart contracts don't touch the mainnet unless it's like viewed by someone, who literally is specializing in security. We are, Block said he has a framework that we will not deploy unless it's actually reviewed by an expert. So that's our route. Is we want to make sure that if we do something first, we do it right the first time.
Yeah. And a good approach, I think. There is no room for errors, especially in a market so volatile through the both the Bitcoin situation and the outside situation, the dreadful war.
Exactly.
Situations are very high stake right now, both in the world and crypto.
We would rather take our time and do it right than try to rush out features that aren't fully tested or rush out a plan that isn't fully previewed.
Yeah. So one last question before I let you guys go. Alucard, maybe you can answer this. What's the plan for marketing in the future?
For right now, since I'm sort of new to the position, I guess you can call it a promotion, but for now we really plan to reach out to a bunch of protocols, such as we're doing right now. Thank you to Degen, shout out to him, for making the bribe so smooth, but we do plan on hosting more AMAs outside of our group, just so that we can get more exposure to a new base of, I guess you would say, community members, people who are looking to invest in their first node protocol. We have reached out to a couple of people. We have influencers are starting to look at us as well, so that could also start working. But as of right now, we are still working on an adamant marketing plan that we can start following. So you should start seeing more of how we're going to expose ourselves soon. But as of right now, it's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Our first, we were going to have an outside AMA with a very well-known and respected YouTuber, but unfortunately I had to get canceled. But we're still working on things like that.
Yeah, great to hear. So if you guys don't have anything to add, I will call this a day.
I'll have something.
Yeah.
Also, just wanted to add, thank you for everyone who joined this AMA. I know I see a lot of new people I haven't seen before. If you guys do have any questions about Atlas Cloud, about nodes in general, we do have an awesome team. They're happy to argue. They're happy to talk to you about, the most basic concepts. We have awesome devs, so just feel free to come join our server and just get to know us.
Yeah, our community
link to AMA questions if anyone wants to join after listening to this.
Yeah, our community is very like welcoming. You know, our mods are very good at making sure our community is clean and nice. You know, we respect everyone. We don't like to would talk down on other people or other projects. We're here to help each other and innovate. So if you have any questions, don't feel afraid to ask. You know, there's no wrong question in our server.
When? Does asking when get you banned, or do you answer?
No, we'll answer it.
When Lambo.
When Lambo.
We have a sticker for that. It's okay.
I don't have an answer for that yet. Thank you for the question, though.
Oh, man.
I will ask other AMA persons to have more people. Like usually, I do one-on-one with like a representative from the project, but this has been way more fun and interactive for me to have different voices, each specializing in one area.
That's the thing that I really like about our team is, you know, there are some projects where they're like one-man shows or two-man shows. You know, our team is 8 people and growing. We're all experts in our own thing. We all have our weaknesses, but we can rely on each other if we have those questions. So I'm going to shout out my team, everyone here. I'm going to keep doing it. They're fantastic and I love them.
Yeah, I love them also.
Couldn't use my words today, but I tried my best. Words were not coming out. I was like, okay, I'm going to stop talking.
Word hard.
So I'll be closing this now. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Good night, good morning, wherever you are. Lovely to meet all of you guys. See you on another AMA.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Usanko.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.